Kirby actually is going to present tonight. And Kirby has kind of fit across the board. So he's going to make comments from single family to being a passive to deciding to become a lead and do the whole thing. So without further delay, Kirby, why don't you come up here and let's roll into this deal. And by the way, he's also owned in Beaumont, Houston, and Corpus Christi now.
Yep.
Anything else? All right.
No.
All right.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kirby Haynes. My company is called Castle Assets with the letter K, like my name. I joined Lifestyles in July of 2010.
Where did you go to college if you can't spell?
I didn't, I have an associate's degree. I barely graduated. It wasn't really my focus. This is my background, but I was formerly a financial advisor. My dad was a stockbroker or financial advisor for 30 years, and I have a finance career. My dad loved me when I knew economics, finance, and I could do mental math. So once I realized that how much love I get from my dad, I became a mental math expert. So I have kind of a calculator.
I just want to point out that this guy with an associate's degree was a financial advisor managing all of your money in your 401k.
Who's made a lot of money in real estate.
All right, go ahead and develop this a little more.
Thanks, Scott. So in high school, I started training to be a financial advisor. Pre-Lifestyles, I accidentally bought my first single-family house. It was right here in Houston, the west side of Houston. I was only 20 years old, and I had $28,000 of equity capture. And what that means is the day I bought it, I paid $82,000 for it in January 2005, and it was worth $110,000 that day. I was 20 years old. I captured, I didn't earn, I didn't save, I didn't make, I captured $28,000 of equity. Well, that was, 16, 17 years ago. So that was pre-Lifestyles. In 2008, I was a financial advisor. I made a lot of money. I made $1 million in 1 year. Some people make that in a lifetime. I made it in really just a few months. Then my paychecks went down about 80%, and I realized two things.
Yeah, what happened in 2008?
The global financial crisis, when everyone's accounts went down, we had a client who...
You weren't the guy managing my account to turn from 500 grand to 70 grand, right?
Oh,
Sure.
no, no, it wasn't. We worked with a lot of really conservative clients who had very boring, tax-free, AAA rated Texas school bonds. And my dad was a very financially conservative man, and we got cash flow twice a year, February 15th and August 15th, when a lot of the tax-free bonds would pay. And we sold these tax-free bonds to people who had very high incomes, and they didn't need to make a whole lot, and all they cared was about keeping what they had. So, and I would see all the money come in on February 15th. I'm like, wow, we got, not we, but our clients got all this interest, and we'd go out and buy a whole bunch more bonds. And I have a very interesting history in finance. So 2010, so I decided, making $1 million is fun. I either can cut my expenses or I can try to find a way to make more money. Well, I decided to find a way to make more money. And I set out on a journey, and I read books, I looked online, all kinds of places. And my mom told me about Lifestyles, which she had heard on the AM radio like many years ago, but never joined. And shortly after I joined, just like the previous presenter, Ann, she bought 5 houses, in a couple of years. I bought 5 houses in, I think, 2 years. And, the 2-day class this weekend, they teach you to buy 4 houses and make your first $250,000. I think, is that still what they teach? Well, I bought 5, and I made 300 grand equity capture, right? So here I am in my mid-20s. I bought 5 investment houses. I bought my first house as a homeowner, and I already had $300,000, $400,000 of money in real estate. So I joined Lifestyles. I got my IROP certification from the Houston Apartment Association. I came to many case studies, road trips. I think I've been on over 100 road trips. I've taken the 2-day class, I think 6 times. I think the last time I took it a number of years ago, Del Walmsley was here, and he sees me walk in the room, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" I was like,
What was he saying to you on the 18th time?
yeah, right. David Fisher's got the record, I think. So 2017, I sold my financial business. So it was a client, a book of business. I sold it. I was only 33 years old. And during 2010 to 2017, I bought houses, I sold all my houses, and I started investing passively. And today, I have 18 passive multifamily deals. There's over 3,000 units that I'm invested in.
So here's a funny thing about a lot of us at Lifestyles. He retired at 33, sat around for a year or two, and then he decided it was time to get back to work. I actually started out here. I got to property number 3, I think it was, and I decided I was working too much, and 2 of my kids were in high school, and I could kind of see that sun setting. Decided I wanted to take advantage, so I hired a third-party management company to run my stuff. Then those 2 graduated. My son turned 16, got a car and a girlfriend, and didn't need me anymore for a little while. Fired the management company, I went back to work. There's a Dellism, I don't know if it's hanging on the wall or not, but it's some people want to work and I'm willing to let them. That's what passives do in the multifamily group, because some of us don't sleep much.
Yeah, I was 33 years old. I had, $10,000-$15,000 a month of passive income, tax-free, no tax withholdings. I paid my mortgage payment. I had a nice car. I had all kinds of tools and toys and gadgets. I'm like, okay, now what? I'm like, it's Tuesday at 10 a.m. What am I gonna do? Like, I already checked. Yeah, right. Don't retire young. And I like projects. I like to do things. I like to contribute to society. I'm not one to be lazy. So I decided to become a lead investor. I've got 982 units that I'm a lead investor on.
Yeah. And even better.
Even better. 18 multifamily passive deals. So I self-manage my 6 properties I have for the 982 units. There's no third-party management company. I don't believe in them. Lifestyles doesn't teach it. I go to my properties. I'm on site every week. I talk to my staff almost every day in person, emails. I get to know them. I know some of our residents that live at our property. And, I love what I do. I have fun, and we get to make great communities.
All right. So how'd you find us?
I think that's why I joined Lifestyle.
Yeah,
So
why'd you join?
speculating in the stock market was risky. I mentioned my dad was a very financially conservative person with boring tax-free bonds, and I saw the stock market go up and down, and we had some stock investments for people, but I also saw it failing. And we had a lot of clients who were in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And I worked with them with my dad, and I saw their account balances over multiple years go down and down. And it wasn't because the investments were not having good returns. It's because they were taking more money out of the accounts than they were making.
So the typical model is you save and save and save and invest and invest and invest all your life. Then you retire, you live okay for a while, and then you hope you die before you run out of money.
And it sucks. When I was a financial advisor, I had relationships with these clients. I went to their houses, their businesses. I knew them by name. I knew their cell phone numbers. I had their account number, social security numbers memorized. I knew all about their finances, and I was writing the last check out of their account. And they're like 55, 65, 75 years old. Hey, Kirby, I need some money for this thing. And no one ever goes to the bank and says, hey, I'm going to take out some money out of my account, and tells the teller why they're going to make a withdrawal, right? But when you call your financial advisor, you always tell them, I don't know why it is. I guess it's because you're getting financial advice, of course. You tell them what you're going to do with the money. And I always said, it's your money. You can do whatever you like with it. If somebody wanted to do something, I try to find the most efficient way to do it. But to me, it was very depressing, and I realized I don't want to do what my clients are doing. And scrimping and saving doesn't work. It sucks. And I knew that very early on in life. I'm 37 years old now, and I made a decision many years ago. I'm joining Lifestyles. I'm going to make more money every year for the rest of my life. My wealth will continue to grow and grow and grow. And I just thought I'd buy a few houses, a few passive multifamily deals. I never thought I would be a lead investor. I knew I might retire one day, but I couldn't see myself. You have a vision of what you're capable of, your future self, right? And at some point, the road just kind of ends, whatever that may be for you, right? You're only imagining so far out. And I'm not saying you're going to pass away, but you can't imagine your future self and what you're capable of doing. Well, I've come to the end of my road with where I've envisioned where I'm going to go in life several times. You know, and I'm like, okay, well, I got some houses, I got a bunch of multifamily, I'm retired now. Let's buy one property as a lead. Broker calls you up, hey, there's another property around the corner. It's really good. You should buy it. Oh, let's go look at it. I really like this property. We have to buy it. You know?
It's when I joined, I used to read Jack Welch, right? I had to read that, I think, as part of a management group. And I used the Jack Welch methodology and said I need to own 5 properties. And I'll always get rid of the worst one and replace it. But there's no reason to own more than 5. That would have been 1,000 units. And there's no reason why I need to leave Houston. It's, what, 3rd, 4th largest city at this point. Well, now I've got 6 properties in Ohio.
Your road ended.
Yeah, my road ended. And you're exactly right. And
You need a new
and it was like,
roadmap.
what do I do next? What do I do next? And I just couldn't stop. So same thing. There's well, yeah, Northern Kentucky. It's Cincinnati MSA, but yeah, because Cincinnati's right
Did
on.
you want people with banjos? Is that why?
Hey, what I wanted was Jeff Bezos to be my neighbor of my 2 properties there because Amazon put a regional center right there at the airport. Yeah. All right, we done with this?
Yep.
All right, let's
So-
talk about Water's Edge.
Sure. So I bought a property in December of last year. It's called Water's Edge Apartments, located in beautiful Corpus Christi. It's 250 units. The size is very good because you can have several people in the leasing office. You can have several maintenance working on property. You know, some people want to buy 100-unit properties so they can have one manager, one maintenance, and that's a great goal. But once you get to 250, 300 units, you got 2 or 3 in the office, you got 2 or 3 maintenance, and your capabilities is much greater. Your risk goes down with a larger property. This is a reason to be passive. We bought it in 2020. I paid $19,750,000. That was $79,000 a door. The cash out of pocket is $9,486,000. Our initial financing was a loan
Hold
assumption.
on, we got to slow down. a
Okay,
second.
sorry.
Everybody in this room just heard, well, I don't have $9 million.
Right.
Did you buy this by yourself?
No.
So how many
I'd love to,
investors?
but
How many investors do we have in this?
this one is over 100.
And what's the smallest investor? And smallest investment amount?
On this property, I think 30 or 50. It could be 30. No, it is 30.
Okay.
Yep.
So $30,000. That's the same amount that goes into some single family deals, right? So you can do it in the multifamily level as a passive as well and get into a deal like the one we're talking about. Some deals, smaller deals, I've seen these things go down to like 5 or 10,000, I think is the smallest that I've heard.
I always tell people about 25 is the lowest most guys will take.
Usually,
But
yeah.
I just want people in the room. If you have 30 grand, you could be in this deal. That's what I want you to understand.
You could.
And are all your investors from here in Houston or from Corpus
No.
Christi?
No, we closed in December of 2020, right? COVID was still kind of going on. Things have opened up more now, but I did almost everything online.
Okay.
We have a website called Lifestyles Podium, which is a great way for all of the Lifestyles members to connect. And I have investors from, I think, 3 dozen states.
Yeah, so there were a
over
couple
the
of great
country.
thing. I'm glad you mentioned Podium because there were a couple of great things that came out of COVID. And that is we all discovered how to use Zoom really well.
Very quickly.
And because of that, from a lifestyle standpoint, it really made the world a smaller place. And us being able to connect with people and get them involved in deals in different parts of the country.
And there's a couple little aspects I want to bring up here because it's really important for the people watching because there's people from Hawaii watching today. There's people from California.
My mom. Hi, Mom.
Your mom's watching today. Okay. So there are people from all different walks of life. It could be like a doctor, a truck driver. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter where they're at. Do you have any people from like Hawaii or California or stuff in these deals?
I do have a Hawaiian investor. He's not in this property. He's in another property of mine. But yeah, Hawaii, California, Oregon, Florida, South
There's
Dakota.
over 100, for example, right?
There's over 100 people.
So another aspect of it is how many of those 100 people that invest in this deal
Mhm.
physically went and looked at that property that invested in it?
Almost none.
And I want people to understand that too. You know, you don't have to, the guy doing all the work is Kirby. Kirby's there driving himself crazy. It is a full-time job.
But having fun.
Well, what do your investors do? So the people listening understand. Are they doing any work?
Literally nothing. The investors have done nothing. They rely on me for all the management. They don't have the keys. They don't have the phone numbers. They don't worry about the website or the traffic or, you know.
The only thing that I will say is that when we go in to do due diligence on these, we do open it up. And if you want an educational opportunity, if you want to first look at a property that you might invest in, we encourage you to volunteer.
Yes.
We walk the units, you see what's actually behind the doors. Randa, I was looking for you earlier when I started talking about you. Randa is the operational consultant that I mentioned earlier. I didn't see her out there. But she takes a group and they go do a lease audit. We pull every file, go through it, check it out, make sure it meets our parameters. So
Yeah. And
you can do that if you want. When we had Expo in Dallas, I had people on my bus from Guam. I can guarantee you they didn't come for that, but it's out there for you.
Yeah. It's great. And I've had a lot of Lifestyles members volunteer to help me when I'm looking at buying a property, and I've volunteered for many others to help look at due diligence of the property. It's a great way to learn and network.
Okay, so I think
November Houston case study.
meeting has not ended. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So financing, I think, is where he stopped us. So we got a $12.7 million loan, 4.35, and this was a loan assumption, right?
This was a loan assumption, yes. So we assumed the property already had a loan on it, and it made sense to assume the loan. You know, when we did that, we did get a better price on it.
Yeah, so this is a great strategy. I've used this 2 or 3 times. This price per door at $79,000, this is a really good price on this property. But what happens is that somebody who had this loan probably had a prepayment penalty attached to it.
Yes.
So they may have gone to market at $90,000 a door, and then Kirby comes in and says, I tell you what, I know you're going to give $1 million, $2 million to prepayment penalties to the bank. Just take that off the price and I'll take over your note. You get a better basis.
Meaning lower
It's the
cost.
net the same amount of money to the guy that's selling it, but I definitely use this in Del Rio. I use it on La Monte. I think I used it on one other property. And then when you go to refinance this thing, and we're going to get there later in this presentation, you get that much more out of it because of your low $79,000 a door starting point.
So for the people that are new, this is the power of having experienced mentors that can explain things like this to you, higher level concepts, and that's part of having that team.
Yes.
Okay. All right. As a matter of fact, it was the next part where you're planning to refi this. It's part of the business plan in 3 years.
Yeah, in 2024, I think this property will be worth at least $30 million.
And we're going to show you another slide that justifies these numbers.
Yes.
But really quick, let's say you give back 90% return to your investors.
Mm-hmm.
How much taxes will your investors pay at that point?
0.
That is a
I'd
non-taxable.
like to get a 90% return,
Me.
no taxes.
I put money in the deal.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a non-taxable event, a refinance, just like a home equity loan. You're not selling the house, you're not selling the apartment, you're just pulling out the gains.
No, loans are not considered income. That's
It's
non-taxable.
capital gains, but it's not taxable at that point until you
You're
actually
not
sell the
realizing
property.
the capital gains. It's just a loan, so there's no
Right.
tax.
And just so you know, because I always get the question, the justification is, well, you know, the market could bottom out tomorrow and I could lose all that, so you don't pay out. Doesn't happen? No. But you don't have to settle up that tax until you sell it.
Yeah, why do you guys all want to pay taxes so bad? What is wrong with y'all?
It's ingrained in you. You know, the last number of years, 13 years, I'm in a Lifestyles members. I've paid 0 taxes, and we got refunds. We've refiled one back and got our taxes we previously paid. We got the money back. And what did we do with that money? Thank you. Yes. See, they're learning already.
And even better, my tax return, I just filed it a couple of weeks ago, so it's fresh in my mind. I lost $1.6 million last year. All right, and you had a rehab budget, almost $1.2 million. Because this was a rehab, a lot of times we can finance that rehab into the loan. The bank will loan us that money. In this case, because he assumed the loan, it wasn't a fresh loan, he had to come out of pocket. So that's why this was kind of a high cash out of pocket deal, but it's the structure of the loan and it's going to pay off later. So we're going to see that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next slide. Uh-oh, I've lost contact. What do I need to do?
I can see.
Boom.
There we
Okay.
go.
So here's Water's Edge.
So the photo, which is the fun part, is a ribbon cutting ceremony I always do when we buy a property. And I set the date months in advance. After closing, I invite all the passive investors from all over. Say, hey, you've never met me. Some of you know me. You've never seen the property. I said, come down to Texas. Come down to Corpus Christi. It's beautiful, by the way. It's cheap, too. Check out the property. I'll give you a tour. Get to meet some of the other investors, other Lifestyles members, and we'll have lunch. and cut a ribbon, and there we are. So there's a number of our investors, many of which are watching, a couple of the property staff, and they're from all over the United States. And I was only able to buy this property because I didn't have the $9 million with their help and with Lifestyles Mentors' help. So I'm very grateful for Lifestyles. They've taught me a lot about real estate. I had a lot of financial knowledge, which when I came into it, I understood a lot of this very quickly. And I've just, the last 13 years, I've taken one step. What's the next logical step? You buy one house, you buy the next house. The same broker calls you up. Hey, you like the Harvest Bend neighborhood? Yeah, I love Harvest Bend. 77064 zip code. I got a street on Broad Sweep. I'll take it. You know, I mean, it becomes like that, and now it's happening for apartments, and it's fun. You know.
Yeah. So what he's saying, my first deal that I bought was down on NASA Road 1. And I became two things. One was the Clear Lake guy. The brokers would call me with Clear Lake deals. I actually had 3 on that road at one time. I just sold one of them a couple of months ago. And then there's something called a chilled water air conditioning system that nobody wants. I became the chiller guy, and they would bring me all the chiller deals. So. All right, so let's talk about.
So what I think's funny about Kirby is its fun is now 20 million at a time.
It's a little unbelievable when I look at it, you know.
That is the hard part for somebody who started, and I started the same time he did. My first deal I closed January 8, 2008. We used to think 35 and 40 a door was a lot. Now 80 a door is cheap.
Yeah.
So it's crazy what's happened in 14. 15.
And I want to bring this up because I've been teaching this seminar for years. Don't go by price per door, people, if you're listening. Go by rate of return. That's what you got to look at.
Rate of return, and people need to live somewhere, and there's not enough houses. There are not enough apartments. I'm trying to figure out ways of how to add more apartments to this complex. Our occupancy is 97%. Yeah, round of applause.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, that's for my team, not for me.
Right.
They're the ones that answer the phone in the middle of the night that are there. They work very hard, and they love the property. You know, there's not enough apartments. We'd be 100% full, but the problem is my maintenance guys and a couple of contractors are working in the last 3% of those apartments. There are not enough houses and apartments in this country. We're taking the 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartments. I haven't done it yet, but we've got the plans and the construction. We're starting in January. I'm going to cut the apartment in half. I got 2 apartments. A 2-bedroom rents for $1,100. Now we're going to get about $1,800 for 2 apartments. I've created more housing. I'm making more money. The community is a little bit bigger and better.
So before this meeting, I led another meeting, and basically this section over here was full of people who lead deals. We meet once a month and we share ideas. One of the ideas that we talked about was if we're all 100% occupied with waiting lists, we need to generate turnover because you can't raise rent on a full apartment. So we need to raise rents so people will leave and allow us to raise the rent on the next guy.
And that's what we're doing.
It's kind of a wacky idea, but that's what needs to happen in order to escalate this thing. So you have to have some turnover.
Yeah. So income, it generates this last month $309,000. I'm sorry, that is this month, November. Expenses are about $153,000 a month. So the monthly cash flow is about $61,000. The NOI or net operating income is $156,000, and that is the amount of profit of the property has before we make the monthly mortgage payment. And the 2-day class will go over to take you through all those numbers and things. But our return, cash on cash, is just about 7.7%.
It's almost 8% there.
So if you're new and you didn't understand all the other gobbledygook he just said, what does it mean to you? If I invest in a bond, I make 7.7% tax-free. That's what it comes down to.
So one thing that's different from single family to multifamily, think about buying a single family house in a master plan community. Every 4th house is the same floor plan, right? So that floor plan is worth $150,000, whatever the number is going to be.
It's called,
you can overly improve it. You can do whatever you want. It's not going to fluctuate that much off of that because it's that floor plan, that square footage, et cetera. Multifamily properties are businesses, and businesses are valued on net operating income. The more we do to fix up the property, and we're about to see a lot of before and after pictures, to raise the rents, to lower the expenses, to get that NOI up, that's where we get our equity capture from. So on the single family side, a lot of times you see big cash on cash returns, but you're not going to get the equity capture that we get. We get to capture later in the deal.
Yeah, remember the single family deals were awesome, 46% return, like 50% return. When I tell you doubling your money, this is where multifamily is peeing your pants exciting.
And you're going to see it on another slide here in a minute. So far, you started distributions and you're only 9 months into this deal, right? Or so?
But yeah, 19
Okay,
months.
so we've got 75,000 so far. He's using a cap rate of 5.5. This is the multiple that I was talking about that they put on that net operating income number. And I'll tell you, that's a conservative number that he's using.
Yeah.
And his current worth is $27 million. Would you pay for it?
19 million.
Does that sound pretty good? Yeah. This is what we're going to talk about. David will get deeper in the minutia of the math this weekend. All right, before and after pictures.
So this is a photo of the before. This is a photo of an actual apartment that was a maintenance shop. To me, it looks like an apartment with a bunch of junk in it.
Yeah, I thought it was just a poorly kept apartment.
If you look closely in the center there, those are actually the top parts of the AC compressors, little fan blades. There's 3 or 4 of them. Like, why do you need 4 AC compressor fans? Well, you don't have to buy one. They're a couple $100, but this apartment rents for $1,200 a month. So do you want to store $800, $600 of AC parts in an
I
apartment?
want everybody who's brand new come to my seminars to remember exactly what he said.
This,
Because I share this exact story, and people are like, people can't be that dumb
there
out
was
there.
4
very
maintenance
common.
shops. 4 maintenance shops.
Guys, remember this. It's very
4.
powerful.
We're going to get to another
This is
slide.
not-
I
this
think
is
that's
not the
really
worst
going to
one.
tie together what he bought and why it's so profitable so in such a short period of time.
So this is a photo of another apartment. You notice the paint is yellow.
Arr.
See the pirates? I call this this was the vacancy pirate apartment. Why? You got dead dishwashers, stoves, air conditioner. That's half of a AC compressor, a bunch of wooden cabinets and crap. You know, if this stuff really needed to be kept, there was a storage complex, unit across the freeway.
Could have
We
rented
could
a
have
garage
rented
for
that place
$100.
10 by 10 for $100 a month and made $1,200 by renting this apartment times 4, right? That's 4 or 5 grand a month.
So this is your model now?
That's our beautiful model. Yes.
A unit? Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. A little bit of a difference there.
Yes.
I like this.
So this property is actually located on Oso Bay in Corpus Christi. That you see the photo in the after the far back there. That's the water. It's a beautiful, beautiful view of blue water. You know, if you were in Houston and you know Galveston beach town, we have a muddy beach because of the Mississippi River and all the mud that has. But Corpus is blue water. It's in Texas. It's beautiful. When I toured this property, I stood at the edge of the side, the bay, and I'm like, this is the most beautiful place I've seen.
And just to give them an example, there you go.
There it is. So the before.
Yeah.
Thank you. We built a beautiful deck. It's beautiful. On the left, it says before. You see how it's dirt right there? We had to grade. We changed the elevation of the soil because over time, the dirt ran towards the building and water was being held next to the building, rotting away the siding and the drywall on the carpet and everything, destroying the apartments. Well, I brought a big dozer in. I didn't drive it, but I had it brought in, and we graded like 6 tons of dirt on like 6 buildings. And then we could rent those apartments because
They weren't wet anymore.
they weren't wet anymore. And then, I mean, it's stupid, simple stuff.
Wow. Okay, so let's get into the cash flow, the cash on cash, and the projections.
Okay, so a lot of numbers on here. Year 1, that's a total income. The bottom number, we have the net operating income of $1,674,000, mortgage payment, and the capex, which is money we put back into the property to make sure it's in good shape. Net cash flow of $615,000, which is about that $61,000 a month on the earlier slide, is about 6.5%, and that was my year 1 projection.
So this year is about up. So he may be adding a couple of months to his actuals, but this is a pretty solid projection of what year 1 is. Now, year 2 and 3, this is where we're really going to get to work.
So year 2, the income goes up quite a bit more. You see, it goes up about 400,000, 350, 400,000. And then in year 2 to 3, I'm only raising the rent 2%. Well, you've seen how prices have happened, in the last 6, 12 months. This is a pretty conservative projection. We have already beaten year 1 projections.
And there's one number. There's one thing I want new people to understand. Most people, when they operate properties, is they go in there and they starve them. They try to cut expenses. They think that's how they're going to make money.
Right.
If you notice in Kirby's numbers, what happens to his expenses each year? They literally go up because we want best product, best price, best people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the model we teach, and that's how we can demand higher rents. We take care of people.
Remember, the last guy downed units, stored his broken stuff in them, and had I guess, stormwater stacking up next to the building, flooding things out. He was saving money. That's the recipe for a slumlord.
Destroying money. He was destroying the value of the property.
Yeah.
I say he, she, it doesn't matter.
But this is the model that we employ. Okay, so let's see where this is going now. All right, so here's where you bought it. Net operating income at just over $1 million. You paid $19,750 for the thing.
Yep.
Year one, we've talked about these numbers are almost in the books.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his 20.
Oh, we have exceeded the year one on net operating income. We are over $1.7 million.
He's got his $27 million on a 5.5 cap. You'll learn more about that this weekend, but that's a conservative number. And
You're already above what you put up there.
Yep.
Yes,
Who likes that he's conservative on these projections? I love that.
under promise, over deliver.
That's
Yeah.
what we teach.
We say it over and over again.
Yep.
And then what he talked about getting to the $30 million property value. Look where he is in year two. He's at 36. But he's only telling you he's going to be at 30. Conservative, conservative, conservative. He's still selling bonds.
AAA rated.
And then where he goes from there, who knows? But certainly that year three number at 37 million is pretty achievable, only on a 5.5 cap. So if you look at the bottom there, in addition to the cash flow that they're taking out, and we're averaging over this 3-year period about 9%, I think, when we average all three of them together, he's got a $15 million net equity gain in year three. When are you going to refi it? Year three? Is that why we're at? Yep. $15 million to refinance out of this deal in year three. And then I calculated it out for you because you forgot to fill this part in. But that's 187% return above your original investment, not including the original
In other
investment.
words, you got all your money back plus 108. Give him a hand. That is
Yeah.
huge. Now, Kirby, I want to see if you're paying attention. If you project over 100% return for your investors, there's a very technical term in the industry for that. Do you know what it is?
Pee in your pants exciting.
There we go. Give him a hand. Who likes multifamily now over single family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really where our focus is building that NOI, whether it's increasing income, reducing expenses, whatever, building the NOI so that we can equity capture it and finance it out at some point in the future. That's our model, that's our game. Question in the back of the room. Question was, how many years of interest only is there, and is there a prepayment penalty?
I think we made a lot of money.
Well, I think I can answer the question. There was no IO because he assumed
Remember,
the
it's
loan.
assumed the
So
loan.
he's got principal pay down going on in that mortgage that's
Right.
factored in there already.
You'll see that on the third line, which is
Can,
debt
is yours can you put a supplemental on top, or are you going to?
It actually already has a supplemental. We
Okay.
could add another one, but
How many years are left on the loan?
about 4.
4 years left? Okay, so he really, and this is how I use mine as well. You buy that thing when that guy's got that prepayment penalty, you really use it as a bridge loan. It is going down. Now, what he's asking about is typically these loans, again, have these prepayments. So he was trying to get to, are you going to lose a bunch of money on the prepayment still when you pay this thing off and refinance it? The answer is no, because it's working down as he's using it as a bridge loan.
Yeah, we pay down about 20, 30 grand in principal every month. Almost $1,000 a day.
So to me, in my properties, I consider that my new 401k. It is forced savings that I can't take out, I can't spend, I can't go buy another car with it, not that I need one. But it is what I consider my 401k money that I'm going to capture somewhere in the future.
It's just another way that real estate makes you money.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we get caught up in the minutia of this or prepayment penalties, whatever. It's what's in it for me, what's my rate of return. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. So how did I achieve this? I started typing a whole bunch of stuff on this list and page, and I thought, it's a long list, but honestly, in order of priority, number one, I unlocked the front door of the leasing office.
So I wish that you had embedded in here the video that you sent me. He did a video for his, I'm assuming it was for your investors, that he
Yes.
sent out to them when they took the property over. And on the front door of the property, you ripped 3 signs off. What were they?
There were signs in the front door of the leasing office that says, and I'm paraphrasing, "We're closed. We don't have any apartments to lease, and we don't want your rent money. Go away."
Meanwhile, the place was 80% occupied. We have a few different terms that we use. Some of them are called value plays, where it's just a piece of junk and we got to go in and fix it up. Some of them are just management plays. They are poorly operated, and that's exactly what this was.
The door was completely locked, and almost the entire staff was fired, in the summer of 2020. I had,
They had to save money. COVID.
how'd that go? I bought the property. We made a lot of money.
I'm saying that, because, I'm sure those people were probably there a while, attitude and all that.
He's wondering if you kept any of the former staff, is what his question is.
Not that you kept
Oh.
them, but if they were, was it hell to get rid of them, get y'all?
So we're talking about the employees who work at the property.
Yeah, wasn't you fired, right?
I did not fire them.
have
So
to
when you
fire
buy a
them.
property, we have typically the right or request to interview the existing staff, right? Because they're employees at that property. And we may or may not hire those staff when we buy the property. That was in the summer. Well, I bought it in December, 6 months later when it was even worse physical shape. So when I went there, the office was locked. I called many times from different phone numbers. I had other people call to see if they would answer the phone ever.
Yeah.
They never answered the phone because the management and the owner says, don't fix anything. Don't spend any money. So what happens? The staff who's paid, who maybe they're there in the office or not, they lock the front door, they don't answer the phone, and they play video games or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And the business just keeps going down. Well, I locked the front door. We started answering the phone, Leasing 101. Hey, if you want to lease an apartment, you got to show some apartments. Let's find the keys. They had 3 or 4 apartments that were model apartments. Like, oh, can I see them? Well, we don't typically show them because they don't look great. Wait, these are your model apartments? How many of them did you say? Yeah.
Yeah,
And they didn't want to show them. I never saw them until after I bought the damn thing.
So when you get in this situation, when an owner has that mentality, then when an apartment needs a refrigerator or a dishwasher, guess where it comes from? The model unit.
Yep. So how can you lease an apartment if you can't show them what their future apartment's going to be? You can't. The question was, what was the purpose for him owning this apartment complex?
This is why you come to this seminar to learn.
Yeah, I think
This happens a lot more than you think.
it does, and I think coronavirus probably amplified this for bad
Absolutely did.
operators. Bad
Yep.
operators went down. Those of us that worked harder and got smarter made it through,
Yeah.
and we're going to be fine on the other side. He took advantage of an opportunity by buying this in the middle of all that.
In April of 2020, COVID hit. Everyone, started shutting down. What's going to happen? I was like, you know what? It may be really bad. We may lose a lot of people. This could be a worldwide tragedy that's going to be remembered for many years and in the future. I said, there's 2 things we can do to respond to this. 1, we can hide in our house and not do anything and hope everything's okay. Or 2, we can put on a mask, go out there and find the opportunities. Yep. And that's exactly what I did. And I bought 2 large properties in 2020, including this one, because I made a decision not to let fear get in front of me.
Luck is where opportunity meets preparedness.
Yes. So there was 40 apartments that were sitting vacant. Some of them were sitting for 3 months, 6 months. There was one, I had a record from the previous management company, was vacant like 4,300 days. I'm like, how many years is that, I'm like, I was like, that's as long as they've owned this thing. I'm like, I'm gonna go look at this apartment. It was not in bad shape, but there was cobwebs everywhere. Like, really? So I fixed the broken stuff. Residents who were there, they couldn't turn into work order. Hey, my refrigerator's not working. My dishwasher's not working. My door knob is broken, right? We're in building maintenance. That's basically what it is. Well, they weren't fixing anything because they didn't have any money to spend on parts or labor. So we fixed almost every apartment on the property. There was something in every apartment. Work orders. We did 300 work orders in like the first 3 or 4 months.
This seems so simple, but when residents that have survived bad management see somebody walk in the door and they'll buy a light bulb, it's
Or a
amazing
doorknob.
what they think customer service is all of a sudden, for doing things that we take for granted.
Every week, I no exaggeration, every week I'm on property. Somebody comes up to me and they see my Castle Asset shirt. They say, I want to thank you, for what you've done, you and your company have done for this property. We really love living here. And, that puts a smile on my face every night when I go to sleep because I know I've made this community better. And that's the satisfaction that I get out of the days of work I get. That's why I call it fun, because I see these residents who really want to be at this property and now they love it even more,
Doing well while doing good.
I'm sorry. How did
How did I find this place? Sure. By networking with real estate brokers. You know, if you want to be a successful real estate investor, lead investor or IRO, or even if you want to buy single family houses, Lifestyles teaches you to network with real estate brokers. And Lifestyles has real estate brokers you can work with as well. You can work with ones outside of Lifestyles. Both are good. And they need to know who you are. They need to know you on a first name basis. They need to know what kind of property you're looking for. Why? Well, when they're out there every day, every week in different cities and properties, you want to be the first name that pops up in their head. Hey, Kirby would buy this property. Because what happens is, hey, Kirby, I just looked at this property. The seller wants to sell it. He wants this price. You know, it's over in this area. I think you'd like it. My answer is, I'll take it. Because the broker has already confirmed, knows what I'm looking for, knows who I am, knows I'm capable of buying it, knows that I will do what I say I'm going to do, know that I can run a property and get a loan and bring together all the Lifestyles members and make it happen.
I would guess that this guy knew he was in trouble. He was probably losing money.
Yes.
And he had gone to the brokers and he had asked for a broker opinion of value.
Yep.
So that he could see what he could get if he sold it. When those brokers get that, before anybody has a listing agreement, what Kirby said is totally accurate. You want to be out in front of them and they want to tell them, I got $10 million burning a hole in my pocket. I'm looking for something, so that they think of you first.
And your phone rings with opportunities. You don't even have to go look for it.
I tell you, I really like what you did with the place. Just the sidewalk and the patio.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It did a lot, I think.
We added 500 feet of sidewalk along the bay. There was just nowhere to walk along the bay. There's beautiful water. There's acres and acres of land next to look out of the bay. I'm like, can we add a sidewalk right here?
And
Like, let's not skimp out on the 3 foot. Let's spring for like the 4 foot sidewalk
this
so
is
two
what's
people
so
can
powerful
walk.
about Lifestyles, because will he get more rents for that? The answer is no. But it's about retention too. It's what I say in marriage. It's cheaper to keep her. In other words, if you can get the people to renew that lease, they will stay there. And by giving a good product, they will stay there. It will attract better quality of residents. That's why it's not just what your interior units look like. It's the entire property, from the monument sign to how the office looks. We blow them out. We open them up so you can see. You know, there's a lot of things we do behind.
And you put that boardwalk on the walking
Yeah.
tour.
Yes.
It's a sales
Sun
tool
deck,
as
yeah.
well. Even if
Yeah.
you can't tie it to $10 worth of rent,
But see,
it closes them.
We do.
the other people before that could not see that opportunity.
No.
They do not think the same way.
I saw a question
care of
back
people.
here.
Yeah, I wanted to know how long the lead time you as lead on this project. How long before you got the investors to come up with $9 million, or did you buy the place first, or put it under contract first, and then find investors, or did you have a pocket?
These
full
are
of-
obviously new people, haven't come to the seminar yet. So can you explain that in simple English to them?
Thank you for that.
It was, I was at the property touring and conducting our due diligence. I was on my laptop in their office, back of their office. It was 4:45 p.m. on Friday. Well, I went into the Lifestyles Putting website where all the Lifestyles members are connected. I put the name of the property, the address, the expected returns, a number of documents. I uploaded everything. I had the Lifestyles mentors review it. Actually, I had 2 mentors review it. They said, looks great, go for it. You know, call me if I can invest, you know, kind of thing. They wanted to invest. And it was Monday morning. I had so many phone calls, emails, and text messages. I had to go into Lifestyles Podium and hit stop, withdraw the offering, because I had interest of over $22 or $23 million. I was going to invest several $100,000. I only needed about $9 million. So many people called me. I ended up at 9.4 because I couldn't get them off the phone unless I said yes. And I knew them, or I, you know, had a relationship. Like, okay, well, I guess we'll gold plate the front door with your money. You know, I mean, you know, I don't know what to do with your money. Well, we'll figure something out. You know, I mean, I'm joking, but it's crazy how well and amazing this Lifestyles organization is. And I've done this 6 times now: $9 million, $5 million, 4.5, $3 million, and it happens with not just me, with many other successful Lifestyles members in cities in Texas and across the country. This is an exceptional organization. I've been here for 13 years. I'm just getting started.
Yeah, the development of, I mean, Zoom was there before, but the use of Zoom and the development of Podium last year really opened up the ability for us to network and put the fundraising and the distribution of information together really well within our communities.
And I'm unique nature that I was a passive investor first. I retired at the age of 33 from my passive investments. So I've been in your seat. I'm a passive investor now. So as a lead investor, I know the questions that the passive investor has. And so I can show you and give you the information that I would want to know. And that's the standard that I hold myself to is what would I ask my lead investor? And I share all that information about the property, answer questions, and talk with everyone.
Now, just one, what was the range on the passives? What was on that particular property? Range from what to what?
The investment amounts?
Yeah. On this property, the minimum was 75,000. I had a number of people who were at 50,000. My largest, I think, is 200,000. My first investment back in 2011 was my first passive multifamily deal, was $30,000. That property paid me quarterly distributions every quarter until we sold it, I think in 2020. I had two properties I bought around the same time, 600% return and 900% return. Those properties I refinanced, I bought the next passive multifamily. That one refinanced, bought the next one, and the next one, the next one. The game, it's just like multiplies.
When you become a member, I don't know if we recorded it, but at our expo, we had a passive do a presentation where he showed how he stacked his money from his returns and his refinances and how he grew and multiplied it. I hope we recorded that. If not, we need to, so that you can watch it on the portal when you become a member.
I've done it. The 2-day class, they teach you to double your money. Well, if you do that about 3 or 4 times, you think you have a 300 or 400% return? No. What do you have? Anybody good with math? If I double your money 4 times, how much money do you have? 1,600%. You hit that 3rd time, it's about 1,000% return. 1,000% return I have done over my personal investments in just passive. My couple $100,000, $300,000 or $400,000, is now $3 or $4 million. You add a zero when you double your money 3 or 4 times over a long period of time, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, whatever it may be. You add a zero to your current net worth. It's a little unbelievable, isn't it? But do the math. 100 times 100 is 200, right? Your 200 doubles again, you're at 400. 400 goes to 800, and then what did I say? 1,600%? 800 goes to 1,600%. My first few passive deals have all doubled 3, 4, 5 times, and I just keep reinvesting.
All right, I think we've covered a lot of this already along the way. Do you see anything you want to point out here?
Yes, so I retired at age 33, and I always got to throw Del Walmsley under the bus, but I love him to death. But he retired at 34. I beat him by a year.
Now he's retired and you're back to work, though.
Yeah, exactly. I love being a lead investor. I'll never work another day of my life. I have all the time and money that I need, and with no job that I have to report to that I hate is the ultimate freedom. Honors. So I was a nominee. I did not win the award, just a nominee for the Houston Apartment Association Independent Owner of the Year last year in 2020. And then my other claim to fame, the news TV coverage story on KFDM TV, which is out of Beaumont, Texas, on my property called Cambridge in the Groves. They did a news story called Leading a Transformation. They talked about how it was a crap property, who was previously on the news for being so bad. I don't know how, but I got the same property on the news for leading a transformation, and the city manager, Mr. D.E. Sosa, called my property a diamond in Groves, Texas.
This the one that's under contract right now?
Yes, and this property is under contract to sell.
Yeah, this is the one I thought he was going to present tonight, but he's got more than one story.
Cool. Yeah, I got a lot of stories. Short-term goals, refinance property here in Houston next month in December. I just had a refinance on my other property in Houston in September. So my goal is to sell our 2 Southeast Texas properties, which is the one in near in Groves. Yep. And then we want to go fishing more in Corpus Christi, Texas. We just got a new fishing boat, and yeah, very excited about that. I'm not the fisherman, but hey, I love boats or anything motor powered, so I'll be the captain. Long-term goal is to become an independent real estate owner. So, passive, you own a share of a multifamily property that someone else does the work on as a lead investor. I would like to, and we will, own our own large multifamily property one day in the future.
Yeah, so that's actually a conversation I just had with Dell last week, and he was talking about, I turned 55 last month. So we were talking about where do I go from here and when do I start to shut things down? What's the transition look like? And he said, well, you got to do what I do. I got a 150 unit property and that's all I have to worry about. He's also got some other passive investments, but so I'm kind of setting my goal on the same thing. Actually.
Yeah. I'd like to become a key principal for other Lifestyles members. Key principal meaning that I help other Lifestyles members buy a property and I help them sign on the loan. Because of my net worth and financial resources that I've accumulated because of Lifestyles, I can help other newer members who want to buy property and become a lead investor.
Yeah, that's something some of us do to help out some people buy a larger property than maybe they can afford and back the loan on.
Right.
We become a partner in the deal.
And I've had key principals help me buy properties that that I have now. We just want to guarantee our 3 nieces and nephew a lifetime of success.
All right.
So who's on my team? My mom told me about Lifestyles. My dad taught me about finance. My husband, Kirk. My best friend of 30 years, Fuzz. I've been saying his name wrong for 30 years, but I'm not going to change it. Uncle Curtis, I'm not related to him, for full disclosure. I'm not related, even though we have the same last name. He's a Lifestyles mentor. And then Scott Van Ostren, and then Doug Kreml, the other Lifestyles members in Central Texas.
All right. So now we're going to open it up for questions. Yes. So all of us.
Repeat the question because people online can't hear
The
it.
question was, how does a mentor become a mentor? And the answer is, when I started in 2007, there were actually full-time employees of Lifestyles that were mentors. That was all they did. What it's transitioned into is Curtis and I started at the same time. I think Lee actually started before us, and he started in single family, but we're all members. And at some point, they came to us and said, it's your turn in the barrel to be a mentor. So I
Here long enough, they'll just they put your name badge on you and you work for them.
I turned them down 3 times and said, no, I don't want a job. I don't need a W-2. I'm not going to be a mentor. And then they pulled the ultimate card and they had Curtis. Well, Curtis and I, we started at the same time. We had properties that were blocks apart, and we used to meet every couple of weeks at a place called Texadelphia and have a cheesesteak and share ideas. Well, they had Curtis call me and say, come on, dude, I need you. It'll be like old times. We'll work together. And I said, all right, I'll do it, but here are my terms and conditions. If it's snowing in Park City, Utah, I'm going to be on a plane this weekend skiing. And if I'm supposed to be up here on a Thursday night and I'm going skiing, you better find somebody else to do it. And if that's a problem, fire me. And if you don't fire me, I'll quit.
See, that's what you can do when you have passive income, right?
I really thought.
Do you see the value of passive income here?
I really thought it would last a year. I'm 4.5 years into this.
Let me
now,
put
and I
this
don't
so
know
you
how it
guys
happened.
understand it. These mentors get paid very little. They're all multi-millionaires. Curtis Haynes, the other guy they're referring to, has 21,000 units, $2.5 billion worth of property in his portfolio. When he walks across stage, money poops out. What on earth could I pay for this guy to sit down with you if you're buying a little 10 unit? There's no way we can compensate him. The reason we're all up here is we all wouldn't be up here as multimillionaires if it wasn't for Dell teaching us how to do it. This is our give back.
It's a
That's what I
give
think.
back, yeah.
For me, they won't let me be a mentor. I would love to be a mentor again. Dell won't let me be a mentor because I teach the seminars. I'm the main guy who teaches in San Antonio, Dallas, and Houston. Dell will only let me work 4 days a month. Do you have a boss that will only let you work 4 days? That, Dave, I don't want you to work too hard. Literally, that's how we are here because we're supposed to live the lifestyle. It is a give back at some point in your life. Does it make sense?
And I'll tell you, it was Curtis and I for a while. And then at some point, we started to push back and I said, you know what, I'm spending too much time doing this. So he funded Lee. And now we have 3 people. So, but yeah, it's a part-time job for all of us. We operate our portfolio.
Yeah, back when I was the mentor, I used to be the multifamily mentor in Central Texas. I was the only one. It took 3 smart guys to replace 1 dumb guy with F's in English.
Okay.
Other questions?
By the way, Randa, since you weren't here earlier, why don't you stand up and tell them a little bit about what the consultant does? And you got a promotion or a raise or something.
Hey, you get to come up here real quick, Randall. Let's
Come on
see
up,
you.
Randall.
Remember, there's people watching online on Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Hundreds
Yeah.
of people that
No,
wouldn't want you to
everybody.
know that.
All right, so yeah, along with the mentors, you also have operations consultants, and I am 1 out of 3 in the other cities. I'm here in Houston, And when you are purchasing a property, we're going to help you how to run it, the operations of it. So the mentors help you buy it, and then the operations consultants help you operate it. So you have, key people that will, along the way, when you get the keys, it's not a, hey, see you later. It's, we're on standby. There's, call us, we're there to help you. We've got education too, of course, that you're going to be taking. But when it's real life and you've got something going on, we're here to help you through it.
And you got to realize all these operations consultants, some have 20 years experience, some have 35 years, 39 years. They ran thousands of units of property. Here's the keys. Now what? How do I set up my bookwork? What software do I need? How many inside people, how many outside people in this 80 unit? That's where they come in. So, I love my mentors. It's great. We all became millionaires. We all sat in those seats just like you. But how to run a property, that is the key to making us successful. And we're the only organization with somebody like that.
And I have to attest to that. Rhonda is incredible with operations, and she's not the only one in lifestyles. I can call up them, email them. I have a question. I have a concern about this lease, or I have this resident, or any type of problem I have, I'm on the phone. I don't have to know everything. I just have to know who to call. And it's the Lifestyles mentors. And I call them and email them all the time. They're probably too much. But, we have great properties, and I'm glad to be part of it.
What do you do before text? Because you can rip off a text and I can answer it at all times.
We text probably, every few days,
And another thing powerful that Scott brought up a little bit earlier. Whenever I do a case study in each city, we have a mastermind group that Scott does in this city. There might have been like 70 guys in the room that all own properties. What is your level of success if you have Kirby and all these other guys that any question you have, if you're a guy who just bought a property, how to fix that problem? What's your level of success? Is it not higher? That's the powerful. We all open our books to each other.
Yeah, as an example, Kirby asked a question about a software I had never heard of. And there were two other people in the room that said, oh yeah, I'm using that. And they told us all about it. Now
I was like, I need to talk to you after the meeting.
I instantly sent a text to the Randa that runs my properties, which is when I took this mentor program, what I get paid here partially offset the salary that I hired to run my properties, right? So I sent the text to her and said, hey, we need to find out about this deal on Monday and let's get this going. So
yeah, think how powerful it is, guys. We are willing to share our numbers with everybody. We open up our books to each other. If you own an Exxon and this guy across the street owns Sunoco, they share their numbers. They see each other's competition. That's why we all grow together. That's the power of Lifestyles.
Yep. Another question.
With Zoom, so like that 70 investor, they were all physically in this room, or you got it all hooked up?
No, this was just a Houston property owner. So it was everything from big owners to people who own 10 and 12 units by themselves. But all you have to be is an owner to qualify to be in that room, and it was all here locally. There are also those groups in San Antonio or Central Texas. They're in Dallas. I don't know what
we have a national one that JB
I guess they probably Zoom it, and JB runs that.
They're still trying to get. I'm out of Colorado, so you're still trying to get Colorado.
We have a national team, national mentors that handle that. We have a national team. They meet through Zoom and stuff.
So right now you would be on a Zoom in Colorado with the national group, but there's been requests too for us to kind of Zoom these, but I don't know. We haven't made that connection.
Yeah, we haven't, because it's usually we talk about local issues. That's why the national team is Zooming it right now for the national.
Yeah, we were talking about specifics on what judges we want to take evictions to in Houston, so it doesn't really apply.
It's not necessarily public information that we want on the front of the newspaper, or, maybe.
But you have the support there for the national mentors and also national for the operations consultant as well.
And I break it down. Like right now, I'm talking very localized because we're in Houston right now. But I don't know if you come to my seminar or not, but during the seminar, I explained about the national team members and national mentors. We have Nicole Scott. She owns properties in Detroit. She owns them in Indianapolis, Indiana, owns large apartments across state lines. Mark Petz, a couple thousand units out of Phoenix.
Let's put their photos up.
We have JB Durham. He ran 50,000 units nationwide. That's one of our national mentors. So we have lots of national mentors as well. Okay.
All right. I'm probably way over my time, but let's get one or two more questions over here.
So I don't have a question.
Okay.
More of a comment. So my wife and I are invested in Kirby's deal
Oh, good.
Water's Edge.
Oh.
And it's been an absolutely fantastic experience. It was our first deal to get in, and I can't tell you how many emails we got from Kirby talking about the whole process.
Okay.
We've learned a lot.
How many times did you go to the property?
Unfortunately, zero. I did want to go to the open house.
Okay, so they're making money and didn't even go to the damn property.
How much did he pay you to say that?
Actually, you paid me $300 a day on a distribution
There you go. There was one back here.
Just so you know, the people that it was one of the investors in the room for people watching online is in the room and just said, "Hey, Kirby's a great guy." Blah blah blah.
And also, you know, he mentioned the number of emails, and that's one thing I think is very important for you as a passive
Communication,
investor is communication. Because, you know, yes, it's a building, yes, we maintain it and you know, rent lease apartments, but you want to know what's going on with your money, and you deserve to know. And I'm very transparent, so don't tell me your secrets, because I send out emails to all my investors every Sunday morning like clockwork, you know, and I tell them what's going on in the property, what's going right, what's going wrong. Hey, this is a before and after photo of this. You know, I'm working on this. This may happen in the future. So you are very well informed, at least when you invest with me, with my weekly investor updates.
Weekly, good.
Weekly, every Sunday
Love
morning.
that, yeah.
And I tell you, if it's a holiday like Halloween, I'm not sending out an email. So don't email me on November 1st, you know, or October 31st. And, you know.
One more back here.
On the Water's Edge deal, were the passive investors required to be accredited?
Great question. So, and I'll get into that this weekend for new people. Did they have to be accredited? The answer is no. There's something called sophisticated investors accredited. They had to be preferred members involved in lifestyles. But I'll bring up the difference for new people, what that means. Anybody can do this as long as they're educated and get into deals that can be happen to do it that way. I'll get more into the SEC stuff this weekend, though. It's too much minutia there.
All right. Let's have a round of applause for Kirby.
Thanks so much, Kirby.